Jai Gurudev Swamiji, we have few questions from last week knowledge session. So can I go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah. First question, what is the concept of God in Sanatana Dharma?
In Sanatana Dharma, God is that which is truth, which is existence, which is consciousness, and which is bliss. So we call it Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means existence, which is truth, consciousness, Sat Chit, and Ananda, bliss. And in order to explain it very simply, we are inside this building. Now, before this building came up, what was here? It was space. Now, what is inside this construction, inside this building? That is space. Now, once this building gets dissolved, gets destroyed, what remains is space. So, God is that entity from which everything else gets created, and when everything else gets sustained, and into which everything else dissolves. So the acronym GOD, you can easily call it generator, operator, and dissolver. So that entity which is all pervading, which is responsible for the creation, maintenance, and the dissolution is called God.
Thank you, Swamiji. We'll go for the next question. So why do we have to worship multiple deities? It makes me feel other belief systems are so clear and decisive when it comes to who is God. Who is the supreme being in the Vedic belief system?
So when it comes to other belief system, there is a God somewhere up there who is passing judgments, which is definitely not the case. God is that entity which is pervading everywhere. And that big, massive entity which is pervading everywhere is called Brahman. The root of Bruhat. Bruhat means that which is big. So that comes from the root word Bruhat, Brahman. So Brahman is that entity which is present everywhere, which is all pervading. Now, to answer your question, why do we have to worship different deities? Actually, there is only one entity, there is only one God. But, in order to take an example, let's say if somebody named Pavan is there. Now, Pavan is just one person, he's one entity. Now, when he works, he becomes an employee. When he is giving jobs, he becomes an employer. When he goes to the work, maybe he wears a blazer, a suit and tie. So his name and form changes, but Pavan remains the same. When Pavan comes home, when he maybe plays with his children, then maybe he puts on a very casual dress and then plays with. Then his name and form changes again. In the sense, he becomes a father to the children. At office, he becomes an employer. And to his wife, he becomes a husband. So it is just one entity, it is just one Pavan which is carrying out different tasks. Which means to say, there are not different Pavans. Similarly, there are not different gods. There is only one entity, and we have the freedom to express God. We have the freedom to express our devotion or our relationship with God based on what the activity the God is actually doing. For example, Vishnu is somebody who is present in Anu, in every atom of the universe. Visheshavagi yaru ella anudalirtaru. One who is present in every atom in this universe. That becomes Vishnu. And Shiva or Ishvara is one who controls everything. It doesn't mean to say that only Vishnu is present in every atom and not Shiva is not present in every atom. So there is no conflict between those gods. Based on the tasks they do, based on the functions they carry out, so there are different names and forms attached to it. But the entity, the all-pervading consciousness remains the same. Now, in order to come to your question, which says, who is the supreme among all the beings? Now, tell me one thing. Pavan as an employer, is he supreme? Pavan as a father, is he supreme? Or Pavan as a husband, is he supreme? So, the question becomes very ridiculous, because there is no supreme. The Pavan is just only one entity. So you cannot say there is one who is supreme, employer as Pavan is supreme, to a husband which is Pavan is supreme. No, there is only one entity, and therefore there is no question of supremacy. When there are two, then maybe you can say somebody is supreme and somebody is not supreme. But in Sanatana Dharma, there is only one. In Advaita, there is only one. And the reason for this is, now God is very personal to us. You have the freedom to accept God in whichever form you want. Now somebody is more drawn to the divine motherly qualities of God. Then the God is worshipped as Devi. Somebody is more attracted to the form of God, which is Pitambara, dark in color, then Vishnu. Then he gets, we call it Ishta Devata. Whatever is your Ishta, in whatever form you like God, that is what is worship. Somebody may like Devi, somebody may like Krishna, somebody may like Shiva. So it is, as I said, it is not different gods, it is just one God, and you have the freedom to express. So, not to say anything wrong about other religion. If the other religion says God is only one entity, he has a beard, he has a mustache, and he has a club in his hand, he's judgmental, then it becomes very imposing. The beauty of Sanatana Dharma is it is never imposing. You can still be one in the Sanatana Dharma if you don't go to temple. Unlike other religion which says you have to go to a particular place for 5 days a week and do the prayer. There is no commandment here. In other religion, maybe there is something called, there are 10 commandments, 20 commands, only then you can be in this religion. In our religion, you have been given the complete freedom, which means to say it is the way to life. Which is the best way to life? Living out of love, out of joy, out of compassion. Of course, within the boundaries of Dharma. Dharma is some rule. Just like you say gravity is a rule, gravity is Dharma. You have to follow gravity. You cannot say I'll go out of gravity and jump. If you keep jumping, then you will fall and hurt yourself. In the same way, you've been given complete freedom. In our Dharma, complete freedom is given to you in order to express yourself towards that one entity. Now, Sanatana Dharma further goes on to say that even the animals are God, even the plants are God. We worship the peepal tree, we worship the Audambara Mara, we worship the peacocks, we worship the ox. So, in order to see divinity everywhere, now, that is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. And if you ask me, that is why our Dharma has stood the test of time. So many people came to destroy it. As of now, it may seem that our Dharma is going on a downward trend. No, it will come up, because the moment you give complete freedom to people, then it remains, it sustains for a long time. The moment you impose certain rule, you have to wear this color dress, you have to go to certain place and do your worship for 5 days. God is with beard, God is with mustache. No, nobody has seen God. It is just their concept of God. So the moment you say there is only one God, one supremacy, and you have to go by that commandment, this commandment, then naturally that religion breaks down. Because it is up to you to feel the connection towards God. It is up to you to feel the connection towards that one divine entity. Now, if you ask me why God, why divine entity? Now, if you are scientific, naturally you'll keep asking what is the source of it, what is the cause of it. For example, there is a plant. Now, there's a fruit. Now, what is the source of the fruit? The plant. What is the source of the plant? The seed. Now, what is the source of the seed? Maybe you can say mud, or the sunlight, or the water. Then what is the source of sunlight? What is the source of... Now, if you keep on going, tracing back to one source, then that source becomes a causeless cause. There has to be someone without a cause which is responsible for everything. So that is what a scientific mindset is. Scientific mindset, you go back to the source of everything. You go back to the cause of everything. That is the causeless cause. And finally, you will find out, there is one intelligence, one intelligent being that is responsible for the entire thing. So that is why in our Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, there is no supreme God. That is why in our Sanatana Dharma, there is no imposition, there is no rule that you have to go to certain place for 5 days, 6 days a week, you have to follow. No, you just live happily. Of course, along the boundaries of Dharma. So when you just live happily, that your Sanatana Dharma. If you go to temple, you are still a Hindu, a Sanatana Dharma. If you don't go to temple, even then you are still the Sanatana Dharma. So that is the freedom that we are being given. So I would say we should feel very fortunate, we should be very proud that we belong to such a scientific mindset of Dharma. You know? So I hope I've answered the second question.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. We'll go to the last question. If everything is happening as per the law of karma, what's the role of God?
Yeah, what is the law of karma? As you sow, so shall you reap. Isn't it so? If you do something good, good will come to you. If you do something bad, bad will come to you. That is, by definition, the law of karma. Now, if you ask me what is the role of God, for example, you meet somebody and you exchange some conflicts with him or her. You exchange some discussions, some knowledge, some deliberations, and then finally it becomes a conflict. Let's say you meet somebody. Now, that is your karma. The way you react with him, the way you respond to him, that is your karma. But there is some intelligent entity that says, okay, this person has to meet this person at this point of time. You could have met him 20 years back, 10 years back, or 20 years later from now. Why only now? So that intelligence which has designed this system is God, is the divine intelligence. So you cannot separate karma and God. In the sense, you cannot separate destiny and free will. For example, this is the pillar, and let's say you have tied a cow with a rope. Now the cow has freedom to whatever it can do along the length of the rope. Along the length of the rope, it can sit, it can dance, it can give milk, it can eat grass. So that is the destiny, and that is also the free will. But once the cow wants to go out of the clutches of the rope, it cannot. No, because that is the freedom and that is the destiny. In the same way, there is certain boundary within us, which is that we have free will and we have destiny. And who has created it? Who has created, as I keep saying this, who has created these boundaries of dharma and karma? That is the entity of God. That is the intelligence. So you cannot say karma and God is different. No, there has to be somebody who has designed this simulation, and that is God. And that you can call it free will, you can call it karma, you can call it dharma. The name is up to you. But there are certain boundaries that you need to follow. And once you follow that boundary, you are free to do whatever you want. And in order to enhance your free will, you need to do your sadhana. We were just in Prayagraj, Ayodhya. There was so much crowd. We had to wait in queue for hours together. Let's say if I had the capacity to fly, then instead of standing in the queue for hours, I could just fly and go to the temple. That is what sadhana gives us. Sadhana gives us the ability to maneuver, to go through the karma. So you need not go through all the karma, you can just fly past it. Sadhana or your satsang, your seva will increase your ability to maneuver through all your karma. So karma, or what is destined by God, is not destiny. You have the power to change it, and the way to change it is through your sadhana.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Guru.